For Netflix to become one of the world's leading entertainment services, its executives had to make big bets and be willing to experiment. One of those bets, building a 600-foot-long obstacle course and casting more than 100 international contestants.
There was a show called Beastmaster,
Yes,
and it was engineered to have stars from all over the world.
It was.
But from what I understand is that idea of engineering a truly global show fell short of expectations.
Yeah.
What did you learn from that experience, and what were those other experiences that made you realize that you can't engineer something that's global, you have to lean into what's local?
When you try to make something for everyone, in reality, you're making it for no one. No one is going to be that attached to this global thing because nobody's that global. That was a big learning lesson. Trying to do this from the other side of the world probably didn't make much sense. We'd have to get people on the ground who would have great relationships with local creators, be part of the creative ecosystem in those countries, and empower them to make the programming choices themselves.
What Sarandos is talking about is decentralizing decision-making. That means giving Netflix's leaders in other countries the power to make major decisions about content and greenlight projects on their own.
When did you realize that this was the way to be able to grow and to make this kind of content at scale?
We had an incredible luxury at the beginning of this where we're making a handful of shows. And I could watch every cut and read every draft of every script. It only took about 2 years before that was impossible. And we had to grow out the team. How do you do this at scale so that you don't just keep, go from number 1 to number 3 in any given year? And the idea how you keep continuously making good decisions across multiple genres, across multiple countries, across multiple cultures. And that is by having people in place who know that world inside and out.
So if the key is decentralizing decision-making and finding people you can really trust and let them run with it, how do you figure out who to trust?
I no longer pick the shows on Netflix. I pick the people who pick the people who pick the people who pick the shows that go on Netflix. So I find that a lot of companies, especially in the tech space, have got very complex hiring processes and interview chains and all these different tools of the trade. And what I have found is if you find somebody who knows how to do this job, proven track record to do it, and take a bet on them, that you will find things that you would have found out in even the most complicated interview.
And that's exactly why he chose Bela Bajaria to execute his strategy for scaling content production.
What is your strategy to delegating among such a dispersed team?
I think a strength of me as a leader is I hire really great people and I empower them. It's always been about, am I creating an environment for them so they can create an environment for their teams, who then ultimately create an environment for filmmakers and creators around the world.
What is your secret to hiring, developing, and supporting great talent?
For me, the importance is still the chemistry of the people. And I think sometimes just the resume doesn't always tell the full story, right? When Ted had hired me, I had never done licensing or co-licensing or unscripted. He still hired me because a lot of skill set. And for me, I have always trusted my gut, and whether that's making creative decisions, and I think even in hiring people, there's something that you feel or sense or know in the chemistry of when you meet somebody. And I think that's that one extra thing, which is hard to totally teach or explain.
Bajaria and Sarandos are building a culture of trust within their teams across 50 countries, and their system works. Bajaria is responsible for hits including Bridgerton, The Queen's Gambit, and Lupin.
It's really about creators and filmmakers and having that environment to do the best storytelling.
Coming up,
There's no data that can tell you sort of the next thing to make, right? You just can't do that.
the surprising way Netflix uses data it has about the shows you watch.
I think if you start with the data, you might end up in a radically different place than you thought.
And later, why Sarandos wants his team to